I need to create a new detailed outline first for the story about a husband leaving with debt and a 10-year-old son who tries to help. Let me work on this outline before writing the full story. Lucia introduces herself, 35-years-old mother to 10-year-old son Noah. Brief mention of husband Adam leaving with his girlfriend. Discovery of $20,000 debt he left behind. Noah's surprising statement. "It's okay, Mom, I took care of it." Hint at the unexpected consequences of Noah's solution. Call to action. Before I tell you what my son did that made his father call in panic. 3 days later, let me know where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe to join me on this journey from betrayal to unexpected redemption. Lucia's backstory meeting Adam in college whirlwind romance, their early dreams and plans together, building a life in suburban neighborhood, Noah's birth and early childhood, Adam as a seemingly dedicated father, Lucia's career sacrifices to support Adam's financial consulting business, the beautiful home they created together, living slightly beyond their means, Adam's increasing work hours and business trips, Noah's close relationship with his father despite Adam's busy schedule, subtle warning signs. Lucia missed secretive phone calls, unexplained expenses, Lucia's attempts to keep the family together despite growing distance, Adam's changing behavior, new clothes, gym membership, late nights, strange credit card charges, Lucia discovers, confronting Adam and his dismissive explanations, Noah noticing tension between parents, Lucia finding text messages from Jessica on Adam's phone, Adam's gaslighting when confronted about the affair, Lucia's attempts to save the marriage, suggesting counseling, Adam's increasing hostility and blame shifting, Noah's reaction to the tension, trying to be extra good, family dinner where Adam announces he needs space and will stay at a hotel, morning. Lucia discovers Adam took most of his belongings while she and Noah slept, finding only a short note. "I need to live my own life. I'll call about Noah later." Explaining to Noah that his father has left, Noah's heartbreaking questions and confusion, Lucia's discovery of multiple maxed-out credit cards in her name, finding mortgage payments 3 months behind, bank accounts drained except for minimal checking balance, bills piling up with no way to pay them, panic attacks as she calculates the total debt, $20,000, Noah finding her crying at the kitchen table with bills spread out, Noah's surprising comfort. "It's okay, Mom, I took care of it." Lucia's confusion, but appreciation for his attempt to help, Noah's mysterious behavior in the following days, Lucia focused on contacting lawyers, financial advisors, and family for help, Noah spending unusual amounts of time on his computer, Lucia's preliminary legal advice about the debt, phone call from Adam confirming he's living with Jessica, Adam's refusal to discuss financial responsibility, Noah's increasing secretiveness and confidence, Lucia noticing Noah talking on her old cell phone but dismissing it as play, panicked call from Adam 3 days later, Adam demanding to know what Lucia put Noah up to, Lucia's genuine confusion, Adam reveals Noah has been calling Adam's clients, Noah told clients his father abandoned the family with massive debt, Noah provided evidence of their financial situation to clients, major clients pulling accounts from Adam's business, Adam's new girlfriend Jessica furious about damage to reputation, Lucia confronting Noah about his solution, Noah's explanation, "I just told the truth, Mom. Dad always said his business was built on trust." Adam showing up at the house in rage, Jessica waiting in the car equally furious, Adam threatening legal action for defamation, Lucia standing her ground protecting Noah, Noah calmly showing printouts of all the evidence he gathered, neighbors witnessing the confrontation, Adam's business partner arriving concerned about client exodus, the business partner learning the full story. Partner offering Lucia a settlement to prevent further damage. Adam's realization that his actions have real consequences. The financial settlement covering all debts, plus additional support. Noah's pride in protecting his mother. Lucia's mixed feelings about Noah's actions. Pride but concern about methods. Discussion with Noah about ethics, truth, and appropriate ways to solve problems. Adam's attempts to rebuild relationship with Noah. Lucia's journey to financial independence, starting small business from home to support herself and Noah, new boundaries with Adam regarding co-parenting, Noah's recovery from trauma through therapy, the unexpected gift of self-reliance Lucia discovered, community support that emerged from their experience. 1 year later, debt-free, stable new life, Noah's growth and understanding of healthy relationships, Lucia's message about teaching children honesty, but also appropriate boundaries. Final reflection on how sometimes our children's perspective cuts through adult complications. Call to action, asking viewers to share stories of unexpected wisdom from children. Like, subscribe, share, and reminder that sometimes our biggest challenges reveal unexpected strength. Now I'll write the full story based on this outline. My name is Lucia, 35 years old, and I never imagined I'd be a single mom buried under $20,000 of debt. When my husband Adam left with his girlfriend, he took our savings and left behind maxed-out credit cards in my name. I was sobbing at the kitchen table surrounded by bills when my 10-year-old son Noah put his hand on my shoulder and said, "It's okay, Mom, I took care of it." His confident smile gave me temporary comfort until 3 days later when Adam called in an absolute panic. Before I tell you what my son did that made his father call in panic 3 days later, let me know where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe to join me on this journey from betrayal to unexpected redemption. Adam and I met during our junior year of college. I was studying elementary education while he was pursuing finance, with big dreams of starting his own consulting business. We literally bumped into each other at the campus coffee shop, both of us rushing to morning classes. My books went flying, his coffee spilled, and somehow in that chaotic moment, we both started laughing instead of getting upset. He insisted on buying me a replacement coffee and walking me to class. By the end of that week, we were inseparable. Our romance was fast and intense. Adam had this magnetic charm about him. When he talked about his future plans, his eyes would light up with such conviction that it was impossible not to believe every word. He had it all mapped out, finish schoolwork for a prestigious firm to gain experience and connections, then branch out on his own. I found his ambition incredibly attractive after growing up in a family where my parents seemed content with just getting by. After graduation, Adam landed a position at a financial consulting firm while I began teaching 3rd grade at a local elementary school. We moved into a tiny apartment together, spending our evenings planning our future. On our 1-year dating anniversary, he proposed with a ring that was modest, but promised, "This is just temporary. One day I'll get you the diamond you really deserve." We married in a small ceremony with just close friends and family. My parents thought we were rushing, but I was certain Adam was my forever. Those first 2 years of marriage were magical. We were young in love and working toward our shared dreams. Adam excelled at his job, quickly becoming one of the firm's rising stars. I loved teaching and felt fulfilled watching my students grow. When Adam suggested we buy a house in Pinecrest Estates, an upscale suburban neighborhood slightly beyond our budget, I hesitated. The mortgage payments would be tight, but Adam was confident. "We need to live where my future clients live," he explained. "It's an investment in our future." His enthusiasm convinced me, and we stretched ourselves financially to move into a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial with a manicured lawn. A year after buying the house, I discovered I was pregnant. Adam seemed genuinely excited, immediately starting plans for a nursery and talking about starting college funds. When Noah was born, Adam was the perfect new father. He would come home from work and spend hours just holding our son, telling him about all the adventures they would have together. As Noah grew into a toddler, Adam's career trajectory shifted. He decided it was time to start his own firm. "Why build someone else's dream when I could be building our own?" he reasoned. The transition was financially stressful, but I believed in him completely. I took on extra tutoring jobs after school hours to help keep us afloat during the startup phase. Adam's new business, Anderson Financial Consultants, grew steadily. He had a talent for connecting with wealthy clients, convincing them he could maximize their investments. As his client list expanded, so did his working hours. Late nights and weekend meetings became normal. When Noah was about 5, Adam started traveling for business, sometimes being gone for days at a time. Despite his busy schedule, Adam tried to maintain his bond with Noah. They had special father-son rituals like Sunday morning pancakes and backyard baseball practice. Noah adored his father, always running to the door when Adam came home, eager to tell him about school or show him a new drawing. Adam would sweep him up in big hugs, calling him my little man. Our lifestyle gradually expanded to match Adam's growing success. We renovated the kitchen, added a pool in the backyard, took nice vacations. Looking back, I realize we were living beyond our actual means, but Adam always assured me his next big client or investment deal would cover everything. I trusted him to handle our finances since he was the expert. As Noah turned 8, I noticed subtle changes in Adam. He became more secretive with his phone, changed passwords on our shared computer, and started criticizing small things about me. My clothes weren't stylish enough. I wasn't maintaining my appearance like I used to before Noah. I tried to dismiss these comments, attributing them to work stress. Around that time, I wanted to return to full-time teaching now that Noah was older. Adam discouraged it, saying, "My business gives us a better lifestyle than your teaching ever could, and Noah needs you at home." I reluctantly agreed, taking only occasional substitute positions that worked around Noah's schedule. For our 10th anniversary, I planned a surprise weekend getaway, arranging for Noah to stay with my sister. When I told Adam about it, he seemed annoyed rather than pleased, claiming he couldn't possibly take time away from work. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under to keep everything going," he snapped. We spent our anniversary with me at home alone while he attended a client dinner. That night, I noticed a receipt in his jacket pocket for an expensive restaurant I'd never been to, along with a charge for champagne and 2 desserts. When I casually mentioned finding it, Adam became defensive, accusing me of spying on him. He stormed out and didn't come home until after I'd gone to bed. The next morning, he acted as if nothing had happened, bringing home flowers and apologizing for overreacting to work stress. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. Our life together, our family, our home, it all depended on our partnership working. So I accepted the flowers, pushed my doubts aside, and focused on making our home a place where Adam would want to be. But deep down, a seed of suspicion had been planted, one that would soon grow into an unavoidable truth. The first undeniable red flag appeared when Adam suddenly became obsessed with his appearance. At 38, he started talking about getting back in shape and joined an expensive gym across town rather than the local fitness center where we had a family membership. He bought new clothes, designer shirts, tailored suits, even upgraded his cologne to something much more expensive. When I commented on these changes, Adam smiled confidently. "I need to look successful to be successful, Lucia. Image is everything in my business." He began leaving for work earlier and coming home later, often smelling of fresh cologne and shower gel, claiming he was working out at the gym after client meetings. One afternoon, while doing laundry, I found a receipt for a hotel restaurant downtown in Adam's pants pocket. We hadn't stayed at any hotel, and it was dated for a Tuesday when he told me he was meeting clients over dinner. When I casually mentioned it, Adam became immediately defensive. "Are you checking my pockets now? Don't you trust me at all?" he deflected. "That was a lunch meeting that ran long, and we moved to the hotel restaurant for privacy. I can't believe you're questioning me about this." His reaction seemed disproportionate to my simple question, but he was so convincing in his indignation that I found myself apologizing for suspecting anything. This pattern repeated itself. I'd find something questionable, Adam would react with outrage, and somehow I'd end up feeling guilty for doubting him. Noah, perceptive as children often are, began noticing the tension. One evening after Adam and I had exchanged terse words before he left for another emergency client meeting, Noah asked, "Is Dad mad at us, Mom?" The question broke my heart. I assured him everything was fine, that adults sometimes disagreed, but still loved each other. The uncertainty in his eyes told me he wasn't entirely convinced. Around this time, I noticed unusual charges on our shared credit card statement, gifts from jewelry stores, dinners at restaurants we'd never visited together, even a weekend charge at a bed and breakfast 3 hours away during a time Adam had told me he was at a financial conference. When I confronted him, he claimed the jewelry was a surprise for my upcoming birthday, which never materialized, and that the other charges must be mistakes or business expenses accidentally put on our personal card. 6 months of mounting suspicions culminated when Adam left his phone unlocked on the counter while showering. A message notification appeared from someone named Jessica with a text preview that read, "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. Missing your..." The message cut off there. My hands shaking, I opened the phone and read the full thread of messages between them, confirming my worst fears. Adam had been having an affair for at least 4 months with Jessica, who apparently worked at the bank where many of his clients had accounts. When Adam emerged from the shower, I was sitting at the kitchen island, his phone in front of me, tears streaming down my face. "Who is Jessica?" I asked quietly, conscious that Noah was playing in his room upstairs. Adam's face went through a rapid cycle of expressions: surprise, anger, calculation, and finally a strange calm. "You went through my phone. That's a violation of my privacy." He was actually trying to flip this around on me. "Answer the question, Adam. Who is Jessica, and why are you telling her you miss her and can't wait to see her again?" He sighed dramatically, as if I was being unreasonable. "She's just a colleague I'm friendly with. You're completely misinterpreting normal work banter." Work banter doesn't usually include details about hotel room numbers and reminiscing about last night, I said, my voice breaking. "How long has this been going on?" Instead of answering directly, Adam launched into a speech about how I didn't understand the pressures he was under, how I had changed since Noah was born, how I didn't make enough effort to keep our relationship exciting. "You're always just mom now," he complained. "You never want to go out. You're always tired. You've let yourself go." His words cut deep. I had spent years supporting his dreams, raising our son, maintaining our home. "I want to go to marriage counseling," I said finally. "We need help if we're going to save this marriage." Adam laughed dismissively. "I don't need someone telling me how to fix my marriage. There's nothing wrong with me. If you want to talk to someone about your insecurities and jealousy, go ahead." That night, Adam slept in the guest room. The next day, he announced he needed space and would be staying at a hotel for a while to think. Noah was confused and upset when Adam packed a small suitcase. "It's just for work, buddy," Adam assured him. "Dad has a big project and needs to be close to the office for a little while." After Adam left, Noah crawled into my bed, something he hadn't done since he was much younger. "Is Dad coming back?" he asked in a small voice. "Of course," I assured him, not entirely believing it myself. "He just needs a little time to focus on work." For the next 2 weeks, Adam's communication was minimal. He would text occasionally asking about Noah, but made excuses whenever I suggested we talk about our situation. He missed Noah's soccer game, something he'd never done before, claiming an important client meeting. Noah tried to be strong, but I could see the confusion and hurt in his eyes. He started checking his phone constantly for messages from his dad, his face falling each time there was nothing. At school, his teacher mentioned he seemed distracted and had gotten into an argument with his best friend, behavior completely unlike my normally easygoing child. I tried to maintain normalcy at home while privately reaching out to friends for emotional support. My best friend Lisa suggested I check our financial accounts, something I had always left to Adam given his expertise. "Just to be safe," she advised. "Knowledge is power, especially if things get worse." That advice would prove more valuable than either of us could have imagined, as I was about to discover just how deep Adam's deception went, far beyond his affair with Jessica. I still remember the exact moment my world completely fell apart. It was a Tuesday morning, 3 weeks after Adam had moved to his temporary hotel. Noah had just left for school, and I was enjoying a rare, quiet moment with coffee before starting my substitute teaching job for the day. My phone chimed with a text from Noah. "Forgot my science project. Can you bring it to school?" As I gathered his materials, I noticed the house seemed unusually quiet. Something felt off, but I couldn't quite place it. It wasn't until I returned home that afternoon that I realized what was wrong. Adam's presence had been systematically erased from our home. His dresser drawers were empty. The closet had vacant spaces where his suits once hung. His toiletries were gone from the bathroom. Even his favorite coffee mug was missing from the kitchen cabinet. On the desk in our home office, I found a handwritten note that simply read, "I need to live my own life. I'll call about Noah later." I sank to the floor, the note clutched in my trembling hands. Adam hadn't just taken a break, he had moved out completely while Noah and I were away. He hadn't even had the courage to tell me face to face. 12 years of marriage reduced to a hastily scribbled 8-word note. When Noah came home from school, his excitement about his science project instantly vanished when he saw my red, puffy eyes. "What's wrong, Mom?" I had always believed in being honest with Noah, but age-appropriate. How do you tell a 10-year-old that his father has abandoned the family? Noah, honey, we need to talk about Dad. I began carefully. He's going to be living somewhere else for a while. Noah's face crumpled. But he said it was just for a little while for work. He promised he'd be back. I know, sweetie. I thought so too. But sometimes sometimes they change their minds about what they want. I was trying desperately not to cry again. Did I do something wrong? Noah asked, his voice small and fragile. Is he mad at me? No, absolutely not, I said firmly, pulling him into a hug. This has nothing to do with you. Dad loves you very much. This is about grown-up problems between me and Dad. Is it because you guys were fighting? I heard you arguing about someone named Jessica. My heart sank. I hadn't realized Noah had overheard that conversation. Dad and I have been having some problems, yes, but whatever happens between us, we both love you, and that will never change. Noah nodded solemnly, but I could tell he didn't fully understand. How could he? I barely understood it myself. That night, after Noah went to bed, I decided to follow Lisa's advice and check our financial situation. Adam had always handled the money, claiming it made sense since finance was his profession. I knew we had joint checking and savings accounts, investment accounts, and credit cards, but I had never paid much attention to the details, trusting Adam completely. What I discovered left me physically ill. Our savings account, which should have contained nearly $15,000, had been drained 3 days earlier. The checking account had just enough to cover the current bills. When I logged into our investment account, I found it had been liquidated weeks ago. With growing dread, I checked our credit card statements. There were 3 cards in my name that I rarely used, preferring our joint card for household expenses. All 3 were maxed out with charges I didn't recognize. Expensive restaurants, hotel stays, jewelry stores, clothing boutiques, clearly expenses related to Adam's affair with Jessica. The mortgage statement showed we were 3 months behind on payments, despite Adam assuring me everything was paid on time. Late notices for utility bills were hidden in a drawer in his desk. As I calculated the total debt, the number kept growing: 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, finally settling at just over $20,000 of debt, not including the mortgage arrears. The room seemed to spin around me. How could this be happening? How could Adam do this to us? To Noah? I had trusted him completely with our finances, and he had betrayed that trust in the most devastating way. I tried calling Adam repeatedly, but my calls went straight to voicemail. I sent texts demanding explanations, but they remained unread. Finally, in desperation, I called his business partner, Michael, who seemed genuinely shocked by Adam's disappearance. I haven't seen Adam in days, Michael confessed. He canceled client meetings and said he had a family emergency. Is everything okay? I laughed bitterly. No, everything is not okay. Adam has left me and our son, emptied our accounts, and disappeared. Michael's uncomfortable silence spoke volumes. Lucia, I think you should know. There have been some irregularities with client accounts recently. I've been trying to reach Adam about them. This is concerning. After hanging up, I spread all the bills across the kitchen table, trying to create a plan of action. Which debts were most urgent? Could I increase my substitute teaching to full-time? Would I need to sell the house? How could I possibly manage this alone? The magnitude of the situation overwhelmed me, and I broke down, sobbing my face in my hands. That's when I felt a small hand on my shoulder. Noah stood beside me in his pajamas, his eyes wide with concern. "Mom, why are you crying?" he asked. I quickly tried to wipe away my tears. "Just grown-up stuff, honey. Don't worry." Noah's eyes scanned the papers scattered across the table. He was a perceptive child who understood more than most kids his age. "Is it about money? Did Dad take our money?" His directness caught me off guard. There was no point in lying. "Yes, we're having some financial problems right now, but I'll figure it out. That's my job as your mom." Noah looked at the bills, then back at me with a determination that reminded me painfully of Adam in our early days. "It's okay, Mom. I took care of it." I smiled weakly, assuming this was just a child's attempt to comfort his mother. "That's sweet, honey, but this is something I need to handle." "No, really," Noah insisted. "I have a plan. Dad always says problems need solutions, not tears." I pulled him into a hug, grateful for his attempt to console me, even as my mind raced with all the impossible challenges ahead. "You should be in bed, sweetheart. Things will look better in the morning." As I tucked Noah back in, he looked up at me with such confidence that for a brief moment I almost believed everything would be okay. "Don't worry, Mom. Dad will have to help us. I'll make sure of it." I kissed his forehead, assuming his words were simply the wishful thinking of a child who still believed in fairness and happy endings. I had no idea that Noah had already set in motion a plan that would change everything. The next few days passed in a blur of anxiety and frantic activity. I called every financial institution connected to our accounts only to confirm what I already knew: Adam had systematically emptied our shared resources. I contacted credit card companies to dispute the charges I hadn't made, but was told that as his wife, I shared responsibility for the debt. I reached out to a lawyer friend who confirmed my worst fears in our state. I could be held liable for debts incurred during the marriage, even if I didn't know about them. Through it all, I tried to maintain some semblance of normalcy for Noah. I continued sending him to school, helping with homework, making his favorite meals, all while my mind raced with calculations and worst-case scenarios. At night, after he went to bed, I would search job listings, hoping to find full-time teaching positions that paid better than substitute work. Noah, for his part, seemed unusually calm given the circumstances. Rather than the emotional breakdown I had feared, he became almost methodical in his daily routine. He didn't ask about Adam constantly as I had expected. Instead, he spent more time on the computer in the family room, telling me he was doing research for school projects. "Are you okay, honey?" I asked him on the third evening, concerned by his seemingly stoic response to his father's abandonment. "I'm fine, Mom," he replied with a small smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I'm just working on fixing things." I assumed he meant emotionally processing the situation and felt a surge of pride at his resilience. "Some things can't be fixed, sweetheart, but we can learn to live with them and move forward." Noah just nodded, a knowing look beyond his years crossing his face. "You'll see." On the second day, Adam finally called, not to explain or apologize, but to discuss arrangements for seeing Noah. "I'd like to take him on weekends," he said casually, as if we were discussing something as mundane as a change in dinner plans. "Where have you been?" I demanded. "Did you think you could just walk out and empty our accounts without any explanation?" "I left a note," he replied defensively, "and I need a fresh start. Jessica and I are looking for a place together. The money was mostly mine anyway, I earned it." "What about the credit card debt you left me with, the mortgage payments you missed?" He sighed as if I was being unreasonable. "The business has been struggling a bit lately. I needed that money to keep things afloat. Once things improve, I'll help you out." "And when will that be? Adam, Noah, and I are drowning here." "You're resourceful, Lucia. You'll figure it out. Maybe sell some jewelry or something. Listen about Noah." I cut him off. "Noah is devastated. He overheard us fighting about Jessica. He knows you left us for another woman." Adam had the audacity to sound annoyed. "You should have protected him from that information. Kids don't need to know adult business." "You forfeited the right to parenting advice when you walked out on your family," I snapped. "If you want to see Noah, we'll need a formal custody agreement, and you'll need to start supporting him financially." "Don't threaten me, Lucia," Adam warned. "I'm still his father." "Then start acting like one." After hanging up, I noticed Noah standing in the doorway. "Was that Dad?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. "Yes, honey. He wants to arrange to see you." Noah nodded thoughtfully. "Did he say anything about the money?" I was surprised by his direct question about finances. "He's having some business problems, but says he'll help when he can." I tried to keep the skepticism out of my voice. "He's lying," Noah said flatly. "I heard you on the phone. He's with that woman, Jessica." I knelt down to his level. "I'm so sorry, Noah. You shouldn't have to deal with adult problems like this." "It's okay, Mom. I told you I'm taking care of it." There was something in his tone that caught my attention, a certainty that seemed odd coming from a child his age. "What do you mean by that, Noah?" He shrugged. "Just stuff I'm working on. Can I use your old cell phone? Mine is out of battery." I nodded absently, my mind too overwhelmed with immediate financial concerns to press further. I gave him my old phone, assuming he wanted to play games or text his friends. Later I noticed him speaking quietly into it in his room, but assumed he was playing some sort of pretend game, a way of processing his emotions about his father's departure. On the third day, I met with a financial counselor who helped me create an emergency budget and prioritize which debts to address first. The outlook was grim without substantial child support from Adam or a significant increase in my income. We would likely need to sell the house within months. Even then, we'd barely break even after paying off the mortgage arrears and penalties. That evening, as I sat at the kitchen table revising my resume, hoping to find a full-time teaching position, despite it being mid-semester, my phone rang with Adam's number. "Lucia," he said, without preamble, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. "What the hell have you put Noah up to? What are you talking about?" I asked, genuinely confused. "Don't play dumb with me. My clients are calling my business. Partners are calling, even Jessica's boss is calling. What have you been telling people?" I was completely bewildered. "Adam, I haven't spoken to anyone except my lawyer and a financial advisor. I don't know what you're talking about." "Then explain why my biggest client just pulled his entire portfolio from my company," he said, and I quote, "I can't trust someone who abandons his family and leaves them with his debt. How would he know about our personal situation unless you've been spreading it around?" A cold realization began to dawn on me. I glanced toward the family room where Noah was supposedly watching TV. "Let me call you back," I said, hanging up despite Adam's protests. I found Noah not watching television, but sitting with my old cell phone and a notebook filled with names and numbers. When he saw me, he quickly tried to hide the notebook, but I was too quick. "Noah," I said carefully, "have you been calling your dad's clients?" His expression was a mixture of defiance and apprehension. "I had to do something, Mom. He left us with no money and all those bills." My mind raced. "What exactly did you tell them?" Noah straightened his shoulders. "The truth. That Dad left us for another woman named Jessica, that he took all our money, that he left us with $20,000 in debt, and that he isn't paying child support. I showed them pictures of all the bills on the table and the empty bank accounts." I sat down heavily beside him, stunned by his initiative, but also horrified by the potential consequences. "How did you even know who to call? Dad's always talking about his important clients. I remembered their names, and he left his client contact list in his desk drawer. I just called them all one by one." Noah's voice was matter-of-fact, as if he were describing a school project rather than an elaborate plan to pressure his father. "You called all of them?" I asked weakly. Noah nodded. "And when I ran out of clients, I called the people at Dad's office and Jessica's coworkers at the bank. Everyone should know what he did to us." Just then my phone rang again. It was Michael, Adam's business partner. "Lucia," Michael sounded stressed. "We need to talk about Noah's calls. Half our client base is threatening to leave. Adam is beside himself. What's going on?" "I just found out myself," I admitted. "Noah took it upon himself to inform Adam's professional contacts about our situation. I had no idea he was doing this." There was a long pause. "Look, I'm not defending Adam's personal choices, but this could destroy the business. We have 20 employees who depend on their jobs here." The weight of potential consequences hit me. "I'm so sorry, Michael. I'll make sure Noah stops immediately." After hanging up, I turned to Noah, torn between admiration for his resourcefulness and concern about his methods. "Honey, I understand you were trying to help, but calling Dad's clients wasn't the right thing to do. Those calls could hurt a lot of people who had nothing to do with Dad's choices." Noah looked down at his hands. "But Dad hurt us first. He left us with nothing. It's not fair." "You're right, it's not fair," I agreed. "But two wrongs don't make a right. We need to find a better way to solve our problems." Just as we were talking, there was a pounding on the front door, so forceful it seemed to shake the walls. Through the peephole, I could see Adam, his face contorted with fury. A woman I assumed was Jessica, waiting in a car in the driveway. Noah grabbed my hand. "Don't open it, Mom. He's really mad." Taking a deep breath, I squeezed Noah's hand reassuringly. "It's okay. Go to your room and let me handle this." As Noah reluctantly headed upstairs, I opened the door, bracing myself for the confrontation to come. What I didn't realize was that this moment would mark a turning point none of us could have anticipated. Adam burst through the door the moment I opened it, his face flushed with rage I'd never seen before. "Where is he? Where's Noah?" he demanded, looking wildly around the entryway. "Lower your voice," I said firmly, standing my ground despite my pounding heart. "Noah is upstairs and he doesn't need to hear you shouting." "Do you have any idea what your son has done?" Adam's voice dripped with accusation. "He's systematically contacted every major client I have told them private details about our marriage and sent them photos of financial documents. This is defamation. This is illegal." I noticed Jessica getting out of the car, apparently unable to resist witnessing the confrontation. She hovered near the front step, a woman perhaps 5 years younger than me, expensively dressed with perfectly highlighted hair. She looked uncomfortable, but determined to support Adam. "Noah is 10 years old," I replied calmly. "He's a child who was abandoned by his father and is trying to make sense of an impossible situation. And everything he told your clients was the truth, wasn't it? That's not the point." Adam ran his hands through his hair in frustration. "He had no right to contact my professional associates with personal matters. Do you know Grayson Holdings pulled their entire $8 million portfolio today? The McAllister account is threatening to do the same. This could ruin me." "The way you ruined us," I countered. "You left us with $20,000 in debt, no savings, and a house about to go into foreclosure. What did you expect would happen, Adam?" Jessica stepped forward, speaking for the first time. "Adam told me your financial problems were because of your overspending." She said, her voice tighter than I expected. "He said you maxed out the credit cards on home renovations and shopping." I laughed without humor. "Is that what he told you? Why don't you come in and see these mysterious renovations?" I gestured to the living room with its outdated furniture and the kitchen where the promised remodel had never materialized. "The only new things in this house are in Adam's closet, or were before he took them all to move in with you." Jessica's confident expression faltered slightly as she looked around. "He said you would try to turn this around on him." "Of course he did," I replied tiredly. "Adam is very good at making himself the victim." Just then, heavy footsteps sounded on the stairs, and Noah appeared clutching a folder to his chest. Despite my instructions to stay upstairs, he had clearly been listening and decided to join the confrontation. "Noah?" Adam's tone immediately softened, though the anger still simmered beneath. "What you did was wrong. You can't call people's workplaces and spread personal information." Noah looked directly at his father, his chin raised slightly in defiance. "I only told the truth. You always said your business is built on trust and honesty. That's what you told me during our father-son breakfasts. Remember those?" Adam flinched. "This is different. Business relationships are complicated. So it's okay for you to lie to your clients about money, but not okay for me to tell them the truth." Noah's logic cut through Adam's justifications like a knife. Adam turned to me. "Are you going to let him speak to me this way? I'm still his father." "Yes, you are," I agreed, "though you haven't been acting like one lately. And Noah makes a good point. Everything he told your clients was true. You did abandon your family. You did leave us with crushing debt. You did empty our accounts to start a new life with Jessica." Jessica looked increasingly uncomfortable. "Adam, you told me the divorce was already in process when we met. You said you were living separately." "He was sleeping in our bed until 3 weeks ago," I informed her. "And there is no divorce process yet because he disappeared without a word. Just a note saying he needed to live his own life." Noah stepped forward and opened the folder he was holding. Inside were printouts of bank statements, credit card bills, mortgage notices, and photos of the empty refrigerator and pantry I'd been unable to restock due to lack of funds. "This is what I showed them." Noah explained, his voice steadier than it should be for a child his age. "I made copies for everyone. I even sent pictures to Grandma and Grandpa." Adam's face paled. "You contacted my parents." Noah nodded. "And Mom's parents. And our neighbors. And my teacher. Everyone should know the truth." The front door opened again, and Michael, Adam's business partner, walked in. He must have followed Adam here after the day's business catastrophes. "This has to stop," Michael said firmly, looking at all of us. "Noah, I understand you're hurt and angry, and you have every right to be. But continuing to contact clients will destroy the business, which will make it even harder for your father to provide financial support. Noah considered this. Will Dad help us with money if I stop calling people? Michael looked at Adam expectantly. That seems like a reasonable question. Adam seemed trapped. Jessica was watching him with new suspicion. Michael was waiting for a responsible answer. Noah and I stood united, the evidence of his financial abandonment spread out before us. Things have been tight with the business, Adam stammered. I was planning to help once things stabilized. Michael shook his head in disappointment. Adam, I've been going through the books since clients started calling. There's no financial crisis at the firm. We're having our best quarter ever. He turned to me. Lucia, I had no idea about any of this. I thought you and Adam had an amicable separation. The pieces were falling into place. Adam hadn't just betrayed me. He'd been systematically lying to everyone in his life, his family, his girlfriend, even his business partner. Jessica stepped back, her expression hardening. You told me you were financially supporting your family. You said most of your money was going to them, which is why we were looking at apartments instead of houses. This is all being blown out of proportion. Adam tried his confident facade crumbling. Yes, I've made some mistakes, but— Mistakes, I interrupted. You call deliberately maxing out credit cards in my name a mistake. You call emptying our children's college fund a mistake. Noah has been having nightmares. He's lost weight. His teacher says he's withdrawn at school. These aren't mistakes, Adam. These are choices you made. Michael cleared his throat. I think we need a practical solution here. He looked at Adam sternly. We need to make this right, or there won't be a business left to save. Adam looked cornered. What exactly are you suggesting? A settlement, Michael said firmly. Immediate financial support to clear the debt you left behind, ongoing child support, and a formal apology to Lucia and Noah. I can't afford, Adam began. You can and you will. Michael cut him off. I've seen the distributions you've been taking from the company, Adam. Far more than your authorized draw. Either we handle this appropriately, or I'll be forced to bring this to the attention of the board. Noah looked up at me, a small smile forming. See, Mom, I told you I took care of it. As I placed a protective arm around my son's shoulders, I felt a complex mixture of emotions, pride in his resourcefulness, concern about his methods, relief at the prospect of financial stability, and sadness that he had been forced into such an adult role by his father's betrayal. What I didn't realize then was that this confrontation, painful as it was, would become the foundation for rebuilding our lives in ways I could never have imagined. The weeks following that explosive confrontation brought radical changes to our lives. True to Michael's word, a formal settlement was drafted by the company's lawyers, providing immediate financial relief. Adam agreed to cover all the outstanding debt pay, 3 months of mortgage payments in advance, and provide substantial monthly child support. The alternative facing his partners and a board inquiry into financial improprieties left him little choice. While the settlement solved our immediate financial crisis, the emotional fallout was more complicated. Noah struggled with conflicting feelings about his father. He was proud of having forced Adam to take responsibility, but also deeply hurt by the betrayal that had made such action necessary. Did I do something wrong, Mom? He asked one evening as I tucked him into bed a week after the confrontation. By calling all those people. I sat on the edge of his bed, choosing my words carefully. You were trying to protect our family, which comes from a good place in your heart. But there are better ways to solve problems than potentially hurting people's livelihoods. But it worked, he pointed out. Dad is helping us now. Yes, it did work, I acknowledged. But sometimes the way we achieve our goals matters as much as achieving them. What you did put a lot of pressure on Dad, but it also affected innocent people like the employees at his company who might have lost their jobs. Noah considered this thoughtfully. I didn't think about them. I was just so mad at Dad. That's understandable, I assured him. Being angry when someone hurts you is natural. The challenge is finding constructive ways to address that anger. These conversations became a regular part of our evening's discussions about ethics, appropriate boundaries, and the complexity of human relationships. Noah was growing up faster than he should have needed to, but I was determined to help him process these difficult experiences in healthy ways. Adam's first supervised visit with Noah was tense and awkward. I arranged for them to meet at a family counseling center, following the advice of the child psychologist Noah had started seeing. Adam arrived with gifts, expensive electronics, and toys that seemed designed to buy back Noah's affection rather than rebuild their relationship. "I don't want presents," Noah told him bluntly. "I want you to explain why you left us." Adam struggled to provide answers that satisfied a child's straightforward sense of right and wrong. His explanations about growing apart and adult complications rang hollow in the face of Noah's direct questions. "Did you stop loving us? Why did you take our money? Why did you lie?" Over time, these visits gradually improved as Adam began to recognize that his relationship with his son couldn't be repaired with material things or shallow excuses. The counselor helped them establish new patterns of interaction appropriate to their changed circumstances. Noah slowly began to trust that his father wouldn't disappear again, though the easy closeness they once shared remained elusive. Adam's relationship with Jessica didn't survive the revelations. According to Michael, who remained in contact with me about business matters affecting the settlement, she ended things after discovering more lies Adam had told her about their financial future together. This news brought me no satisfaction, just a tired recognition of Adam's pattern of deception. As for me, I focused on rebuilding our financial security and emotional well-being. With the immediate crisis resolved, I was able to think beyond day-to-day survival. I enrolled in an accelerated certification program to add special education credentials to my teaching license, which would significantly increase my earning potential. I also started a small side business offering after-school tutoring services from our home. What began as a way to supplement our income while allowing me to be present for Noah evolved into something unexpected. Word spread among parents, and soon I had a waiting list of students needing academic support. 6 months after Adam's departure, I converted our rarely used formal dining room into a dedicated learning space. By the 8-month mark, I had hired 2 other teachers to help meet demand. The business, which I named Stepping Stones Tutoring, provided not just financial stability, but also a sense of purpose and accomplishment I hadn't realized I was missing. Noah thrived in this new environment. He helped younger students with math, discovered a talent for explaining concepts clearly, and beamed with pride whenever parents complimented my work. Our home, once filled with tension and secrets, became a place of learning and growth for many children in our community. The 1-year anniversary of Adam's departure arrived with less pain than I had anticipated. That evening, after the last tutoring session finished, Noah and I sat in our backyard with ice cream sundaes, reflecting on how much had changed. "Are you still sad about Dad?" Noah asked, carefully arranging his sprinkles in a precise pattern. "Sometimes," I admitted. "I'm sad about the family we lost and the trust that was broken. But I'm not sad about where we are now. We're doing pretty well, don't you think?" Noah nodded thoughtfully. "I like our life better now. There's no more fighting and you smile more, and I like helping with the tutoring kids." "You're really good with them," I told him. "You have a gift for explaining things." He grinned, chocolate sauce on his chin. "Maybe I'll be a teacher like you when I grow up, or maybe a lawyer. They help people who get treated unfairly, right?" I laughed. "Yes, they do. But maybe with slightly different methods than calling everyone someone knows." Noah had the grace to look sheepish. "I promise not to do that again. But I'm not sorry I stood up for us, Mom." "I know, honey. And the truth is, I'm proud of your courage. Not all of your methods, but definitely your courage." As Noah went inside to get ready for bed, I remained in the backyard looking up at the stars. The path forward wasn't perfect. Co-parenting with Adam remained challenging. Money was still tighter than before despite the settlement and my growing business. There were nights I still cried for the family we had lost. But there was also a new strength I had discovered in myself, a resilience I hadn't known I possessed until circumstances forced me to find it. And there was Noah, my incredible, complicated, brave son, who had refused to accept injustice even when the perpetrator was his own father. Adam's betrayal had taken much from us, but it had also unexpectedly given us gifts, closer mother-son bonds, newfound independence, and the knowledge that we could face difficult truths and emerge stronger on the other side. The debt Adam left us with had been paid not just financially, but in the currency of life lessons that would shape both Noah and me for years to come. And for that, despite everything, I was strangely grateful. Have you ever had a child surprise you with their wisdom or courage in a difficult situation? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Sometimes our children understand right and wrong with a clarity we adults have lost along the way. Please like this video. If Noah's determination resonated with you, subscribe to hear more stories about rebuilding after betrayal, and share this with someone who might need to be reminded that even our darkest moments can lead to unexpected new beginnings. Thank you for listening to our journey, and remember, sometimes our greatest strength emerges precisely when we think we've been left with nothing.